Welcome to Trades of the Week with myself and Keith Sullivan. We'll take you through what's happening in the market, right? Both short term, but also long term. And today we have some really good and exciting news for you. We're going to do some moves. And if you're new to the channel, that means that we're going to take profit, right? We're going to take some profits off the table and we might even have a loss or two. But let's dive into it because we do have a lot to cover today. So without any further ado, let's go on to our Buffalo strategy. On PRU, or Prudential Financial Incorporated, we currently have a stop loss at 2%. So if you're in this, we have moved our stop loss to 117.15. So that's awesome. That's not worth a move yet. We haven't taken any profits on that, but maybe eventually. But that being said, to some less good news, we were in a bit of profit on ACRS, Aclaris Therapeutics. And now we had 1% loss. That's not a move, but instead it's a boo. Not good. But that's how it is, right? No emotions. The same here. SHO, Sunstone Hotel Investors, also a 1% loss, took us in just barely, and then boom, shot all the way up and took us out with a 1% loss there as well. So that's another boo, unfortunately. But that's how it is, right? That's the game, the name of the game. And then we will maybe have some profits in some of the other strategies. So before we move on to the new ones for this week, let's have a look at what's happening in the market, or if there's anything specific we need to take into consideration.
Yeah, so in regards to the market there, Dennis, we're still looking at some of the same old news where it comes about inflation. It's looking about the peace talks now that's happening within Russia and Ukraine. But a new bit of news that came out last week was unemployment jobless claims actually took a decrease, okay, in America, meaning less people are claiming unemployment. So that is showing that the workforce in the US is growing. So that's showing a strengthening economy. But in the back of their mind, there's still that niggling thought about the inflation, the cost of living. It's still increasing. Even though interest rates are increasing, inflation is still increasing. So we could still see a shrinking of the economy over the next couple of months. Now, am I going to say that's going to cause the market to tumble down? We don't know. We haven't got that crystal ball, but we just need to make sure we're on the right side of the fence. As we always say, if the market does drop, we can then start looking at more VCAs, more shorting positions. So that's the first thing. The second piece of news that's come out is all about companies buying back their shares. Now, Dennis, I'm not sure if you've heard about this, but a lot of companies are actually purchasing shares back in a repurchasing scheme. Now, interpretation from ourselves is they are doing this to really bring down the supply. Now, if supply is low and demand is high, what naturally happens to price? Price begins to increase. So we are looking at this on a standpoint of we're now going to buy shares back, decrease the amount of supply, which then is going to stabilize price, which means no matter what we maybe see happening in the market, even if the market takes a tumble, some of the stocks may not be hit as hard as they had been previously over the COVID pandemic and what's happened over the last few weeks. So that's the first couple of bits of news. And then in regards to a company bit of news, and me and Dennis were speaking about this earlier today, Amazon, one of the biggest companies in the world, they are doing a 20-to-1 stock split, which means Amazon share price, which is around 3,300, over the next few weeks when the split happens, they are going to go down 20 times, which means you can actually be purchasing a lot cheaper for Amazon. Now, why does a company do a stock split like this? Maybe they've seen that they've hit the ceiling in price, so they do the stock split, which means they have more room to grow. Okay, so that could be one area that they may be looking at. They may be saying, okay, 3,000 is just too expensive for share pricing. We are outpricing a lot of the retail investors. So let's do that stock split, bring the share price down, and then let's grow it over the next few years as well. So if you're not in Amazon right now, if you can't afford it, Amazon itself is a great company, fundamentally strong. And this is a great bit of news for us, especially to get in at some sort of investment, so a much cheaper price. So that's really the news that we've had over the last few weeks, for a few days, sorry. Now, if you look at the fear and greed index for stocks, we are coming back to neutral, because there's a lot more certainty that's happening to the market. So it's not fearful, it's not greedy, it's more neutral. And during neutral phases, we just see the market begin to oscillate sideways until something affects the market, causing the market to increase in value or causing it to decrease in value. So anything else to add on that, Dennis?
Just two things, right? So we have been with just to mention with Amazon as well. One of the reasons they do that is because the regular people, you and me, we don't want to put $3,000 into buying one share. Instead, now when they cut it in 20 pieces, that means every share will now be worth $150. But yes, they will have 20 times more shares, so the value will be the same of the company, but it will be more what you say is more exciting for retail investors. So that means that potentially when that happens, a lot of people will go in and buy because now they can, and then the share price will naturally go up because more people get excited about it. So that's one thing to consider. But obviously, if you're getting into this, make sure you do use our VCA strategy to go down at the 20% drop or so. So we can maybe even have the new high here. So 20% drop from the high here would take it down to roughly 2,600, or let's see then after they do the stock split. Now, the last thing I want to show you before we move over to cryptos is this. If we have a look at US 100, US 100 is the indice for the 100 biggest tech companies. And look at a monthly chart. The S&P 500, the US 30, the Dow Jones will look the same. But usually when we've seen these reversals, you can see here, because history is a great teacher of what might be coming later. We had two red candles here. We had two big red candles here. This was during COVID. This is a monthly. Every candle now is 1 month. We had two big red ones here, even though we had a couple of more neutral ones. 2-1 here as well. So guess what? Do we have two red ones now as well? So if the candle, which is what we're seeing now, the big green one here, if that closes like this, that's a very bullish sign that the price, not just straight up, but the price might start a journey up to a new all-time high. But we will see. We will see. So that's just one thing to mention. So keep an eye on that monthly closure. Now, the last thing is we have added 2 buffaloes for this as well. We want to be hedged, like Keith said. And the last candle here that is touching the level of resistance is this one here. So we're doing the calculations based on that candle. So we want to enter when it breaks slightly below. And when it breaks slightly below the this green candle here, so it will take us in. So when it breaks lower, it's going to take us in. And we're aiming, of course, for a good 3-to-1 reward risk ratio, and hope it does go down to that level. But we will lower the stop loss nevertheless. But a nice pattern that moves really quick. So yeah, maybe wait for a red candle before we get in here. And I think it looks very exciting. The second one here is this. This is Tyson Food, TSN, and also looks very exciting. We have a nice pattern, and we do love this when the support is getting higher and the resistance is getting higher. So potential is it will go even higher than we're estimated. It's all about the probabilities. So currently we're seeing some reversal signs here, some green nice candles, a hammer here as well. I think is ready to put an order on. So I'm quite excited about this opportunity. The only thing we don't like is that we do have some lower highs in the shorter term, but that will all change as soon as we break above this level here. So just one thing to take into consideration. But that's pretty much all for the stocks here. And by the way, right, if you like this content, if you're taking advantage of it and hopefully making profits with all the information we're giving you, but if you're enjoying it, do make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button as well, in order for you to get reminders when we release these, so you're on top of the information of what is happening in the market. But that being said, let's jump over to cryptos. And I must say, Keith, our crystal ball was working really well this time. What are your thoughts on this? What are we expecting now for the coming week? I think we should stay humble, though. Important.
Yeah, so in regards to Bitcoin, the first thing is the crystal ball worked perfectly, so we don't need to get a refund on that one like the one a couple of months ago. We won't talk about that. But in regards to Bitcoin, we have now seen it break that ascending triangle. Now, if you don't know, an ascending triangle is a bullish pattern, so the probability of it breaking on the upside is a lot larger. So as you can see here, we have now had the break above that the horizontal resistance, let's call it that. So we've seen a break above that. We're going to see a nice pullback, and our expectations now is the next lower high to be targeted. And then if it starts breaking these lower highs, we could expect, and I'm not saying this, so don't quote me on this, but we could expect a new all-time high being created. Now, we actually had a discussion as traders yesterday in regards to, do we believe it's going to create an all-time high within the next few weeks? No. Okay, for me personally, I think we're going to start seeing a slow increase, not like we saw previously. Okay, I think we're going to see a slow increase where structure is really being built, and then we can see the overall market beginning to grow. So I think it's a good sign, especially with Bitcoin, that we are seeing the ascending triangle be broken. Now we just need to see the next phase of the last lower high to be broken. And Dennis, if you hover over that line for me, I think that's around the one above. A bit above. I think it's, there you go. I think it's around 51, 52,000. So that's the mark that we want to see a trade above. We don't want to see it break above. We want to see it close and trade above. Because yes, you can have wicks of candles going above and then coming back below. We don't want to see that. We want to see it fully break the level and then trade above. And that is the momentum that we're looking to see build. But what do you think there, Dennis?
No, absolutely. I mean, we might expect a pullback, or it might just continue up until it reaches the 52,000. Bitcoin has surprised us before, but the key here is to always follow these strategies and to not get emotional, because a lot of people will get in now when it's broken out, right? But really you wanted to get in on the way down. And yes, you might need to wait a little bit longer, but do make sure you follow the strategies. And that is right. You need to consist of a couple of things. You need to know when to enter before you get into the trade. You need to know when to exit before you get into the trade. You need to know everything, how much you're buying for, when you're taking profits, all those things you need to know before you get into the trade or investment. Very important. So comment below, do you have a strategy like that? We would love to support you on that if not. So Bitcoin is looking very interesting. This is some other coins that has gone up quite a bit. So Solana is making its way higher as well. They're all really following the same pattern. I think one of the stories that we think is exciting to share is, of course, with Terra Luna. Terra Luna actually broke out today for a new all-time high, which is exciting. So hopefully you did buy on the way down. So on this one, we're actually now up over 100%, to be honest. Well, we were up 100%, and next time we're going to take profits on Luna is at a 200% increase. We're almost there, so let's just wait a little bit longer and hopefully we will. And it's going to be time eventually to milk these cows. We have been buying with a lot of these, like all the way down, right, to a 50, 60, 70% drops on this graph or GRT. So many of them are down a lot, but everything will go down and everything will also go up. So make sure you take that into consideration. But a few things are worth mentioning now. Just look over all your positions. I'm not adding anyone new because we have so many already. But one story that is worth looking at is FTT, because they've just announced a partnership with Stripe, which is a global payment provider that will get their crypto liquidity from FTX, which is an exchange regulated in the US. So FTT, the FTX token or FTT, will hopefully do really well based on this. And FTX is a great exchange and company as well. So that's really exciting. So we have some really big adoption there. And also, I mean, the most bullish thing is probably that the Bitcoin broke out of the resistance, of the technical resistance. A lot of people were watching that. So now it might become a self-fulfilling prophecy with the Bitcoin price leading higher. So that's really it for the crypto news. The crypto fear and greed index is now climbing up to so people are a bit greedy here. So when this goes up to 80, 90 to extreme greed, that might be a good time to take some profits off the table as well. But do make sure, of course, you follow the strategies. So with Cardano, we're actually now on our second position. We entered at minus 74%. Hopefully you did as well. Please comment below if you did. And now we would be up 50% on that. So I think that's time to move. Keith, are you ready?
I'm ready. Move.
I haven't really, a little bit out of practice there, I think. Maybe a little bit. All right.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. All right. But we did get 50% there on the money invested, not on the portfolio, but on the money invested. Now, that's really it for cryptos this week. So we're excited. We think it's going to keep going up. So we're bullish. We're sitting on our positions now, and we're going to take the profits as we go higher. And of course, feed you with the latest information. And also, of course, when we're entering new positions as well. When it comes to the little bit slower strategy, the VCA strategy, we've now yesterday taken profits on Pan American Silver Corp. We just kept rising on stop loss. Currently, we're up 20%. So we took that profit yesterday when it came down and took us out. So I think that's worth a move as well, Keith. Moo. Well done, well done. And then on INSEE, that's Inside Corporation, we are putting a stop loss in place at plus 10%. So well done if you did that as well. And last but by no means least, we have CAT. This is Caterpillar. And also we put the stop loss as plus 20%. Yesterday, it took us out with this wick. So we did a good 20% on the money invested on that one as well. So another move, Keith. Let's get in there. Moo. Excellent. That's awesome. You almost, you sound like a cow, Keith, indeed.
Been practicing.
I was going to say, you almost look like a cow, but that would have been nice. The intention was just to say that you were so good at sounding like one, but I almost.
Well, hopefully I don't look like one yet.
No,
that's not the intention.
Awesome. All right, but let's go over to the new one. And this is quite interesting. This is actually General Motors. So General Motors is one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world. Currently down 35%. I think it's a great one to invest in. And do we have any exciting news about General Motors or any exciting numbers?
Yeah, so if you go over to FinViz there, Dennis. So General Motors, as Dennis said, is one of the largest car manufacturers in the world. Now, with General Motors, it's actually being classed as undervalued, okay, as a company. So if you can see the PEG ratio, it's at 0.45. So this is showing that the current earnings and growth the company's having is not representational to what the current price is. So meaning we can actually buy it cheaper with the expectational growth. We are also seeing in this case, the earnings per share this year of 52%, which 54%, sorry. And then next year and next 5 years, we're seeing good sustainable growth. That's the one thing we want to see with companies, something which is sustainable, nothing that just goes up once and then comes down, goes up. We want to see something which is consistently growing. Now, the next case on General Motors, we've got return on assets, equity and investment. Now, for me personally, I would like to see this a tiny bit higher, but because the company is undervalued, I could kind of look past it. But this is showing that they're very effective at generating money within themselves as well. So I think fundamentally, we are seeing a good company, and it's around 35% down from its current high, Dennis. So correct. I think it's a good time for us to enter into this as a VCA. But remember, make sure you are diversified. Okay. Now, do I think that a lot of people invested into car manufacturers? Probably not. But if you are, just make sure you are diversified in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about results or getting into new positions, these are the results for today since August 2020. So we're still up a good 52.5% on the total portfolio, even though we're down 2% for today. So that's a boo, right? But we do have locked in some profits on one of them. So hopefully in a week or so, we're going to see some good numbers there. And then with the VCA, we closed Pass and Caterpillar, so plus 40% there, which is awesome. Taking the total amount of profits taken on the money invested up to 925%. And with the crypto results, we took 50% there on Cardano. So that's 1,510% on the money invested. And small cap, not yet. It was a long time ago. So we need to undust that eventually. I'm not sure if that's a word even, but I think so. So that being said, everyone, thank you so much for watching Trades of the Week today. We really hope you enjoyed it. We're trying to keep it a bit shorter, but Keith talks too much. That's just how it is. Well, I think it's me actually, both. Yeah. And but thank you so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. And please make sure you subscribe. Press that like button if you enjoyed the video, and also subscribe and press that alarm bell so you get notifications on when we're doing these next videos. And you will be the first to know whenever there's a change in the market, if we're changing, adapting. So you always need to adapt. You can't just use one strategy. You always need to adapt. And that's what we're going to give you here as well. So from myself and the entire team and Keith, of course, and by the way, Keith is going to Jamaica soon. So make sure we wish him a safe flight. And with all our love, have an amazing trading week. And we'll see you in Trades of the Week next week.